Hey guys, LovelyMuze here. It's been a while since I made another unpopular opinions video, and by a while, I mean 5 months exactly since my last one. The reason is because, even though I have a lot of opinions, I never really found the time or motivation to make a video and share it. This is until now. Anyways, enjoy. Alright, we are going to start off easy here with this opinion. As we know, this one isn't unpopular, and I know there have been numerous people who have already said this. But I do genuinely want dating and K-pop idols getting into dating scandals to be more normalized and accepted. However, with that being said, I also want to be able to see two idols from the opposite sex talk, hang out, or even greet one another without there being some sort of speculation that they are dating. In short, I just want idols to be seen and treated like normal human beings, who have hormonal thoughts and romantic feelings, like everyone else on this damn planet. For the past couple of years now, exactly 2 years actually, I have noticed the decrease in the number of idol groups debuting. I don't know if it is because companies are finding it harder to debut groups financially, or because they find it harder to debut groups who can compete with bigger and more popular groups. But all I can say is, 2020 alone did not really have a lot of groups debuting in comparison to the previous years, where companies were debuting groups left and right. Also, I don't know, this might just be me who thinks this. But I feel like this is also not a bad thing either. Because people who are multi-fans, like me, do not need to feel the need to cater and be fans of every group they encounter. It makes it easier for K-pop fans to fully indulge themselves with the groups already out. Not to mention, with a decrease in the number of groups debuting, it can also lead to the decrease in the amount of groups being underrated and flopping, since there won't be so many groups having to compete for the spotlight. Alright, here comes a big one. And I am prepared to have people start sharing their opposing opinions in the comments section, even before they finish listening to mine. But Woosan is undeniably 90% fan service. Don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with catering to your fans' unspoken fantasies in this kind of way, and so far, it seems to be working in KQ and ATEEZ's favor. Not to mention, you can clearly tell that these two are remarkably close and good friends. I mean, if they weren't, they wouldn't be doing what they are doing, nor would they feel so comfortable doing it. Even though half the things they do, I genuinely cannot imagine doing with my best friend who I consider my soulmate. This is, unless I am romantically or sexually attracted to her, which I am not, because I am not part of that community. However, some of you who keep saying Woo-san is real, or San is so obsessed with Woo Young, implying it in a romantic way, need to please just keep quiet and enjoy the show, because that is exactly what it is. If these two were truly together romantically, I can guarantee you that they wouldn't be so open about it, nor would they risk ruining the group's image in the eyes of the Korean community, who still are generally closed-minded towards same-sex couples. It just doesn't make sense for them to do that, if they are actually together. I mean, just take a look at the way people reacted even when two people of the opposite sex were outed to be dating, and just imagine how they would react to two same-sex couples. Furthermore, these two are undeniably close. I am not disputing that. However, some of the things they do with one another is very, I don't know if fake or scripted would best suit how I am trying to describe them. But I find myself having a hard time finishing a shipping video of them because of how excessive they are with one another. I sometimes find myself rolling my eyes to some of their moments, because of how obvious it is. But like I said, this isn't a bad thing. But people need to realize that, until the idols themselves or their companies come out and specifically say which gender they are attracted to, or how they want to be identified, it is not the fans' duty to be putting these labels on them, just so they can feed their own fantasies. Yes, if you look at my YouTube channel, I do shipping videos, but never once do I go out of my way to label them as gay, or imply they are, nor do I go out of my way to imply that they have feelings for each other in a romantic way. It just isn't my place to do so, and it isn't yours either. You can ship your idols, but don't start getting butthurt or take things personally when someone tells you that your ships are fake, because there is a 50-50% chance that they are, or they aren't. But again, that isn't for you, me, or anyone else, but the idols themselves to decide that. People need to understand the difference between underappreciated and underrated. For an example, as a 17 fan, when I see posts talking about how 17 is underrated, I low-key get irritated. Seventeen is known as one of the top most popular Korean boy groups, arguably being in the top 3. This alone already tells you that they are definitely not underrated. They may not be as popular as other popular groups internationally, but I can tell you that they are very popular in South Korea, known as part of EBS, which stands for EXO, BTS, and 17, and they are very popular in Japan also. However, I will say that they are pretty underappreciated, in the sense that people tend to easily forget about them, and their contribution and achievements, and don't seem to know them beyond just being synchronizing kings, and self-producing. And honestly, part of me is okay with it in a way, but part of me does wish they could be as recognizable as groups like EXO, or NCT, or even GOT7 and Monsta X internationally also. Because sadly, in comparison to those other groups I mentioned, their international fans comprise of mostly multi-fans, like me, whose first choice aren't 17. However, in my case 17 is actually my first choice. Big Hit is surpassing the Big 3 and don't need to be considered part of the Big 3, or need to replace one of the companies in the Big 3. I feel like the Big 3 are slowly losing their status in terms of popularity, and especially in regard to YG. Yes, they will always be generally respected for the amount of contributions that they have done for the K-pop culture, that cannot, and should not be disputed, or be compared to Big Hits. However, I'll have to admit, as someone who is more of a fan of the groups under the Big 3, Big Hit is definitely taking over and surpassing them in popularity, and probably even market-wise as well. And honestly, I can only see Big Hit moving up even more. So no, Big Hit is not part of the Big 3 and doesn't need to be in it or compared to them. Big Hit is on its own pedestal of greatness, just like the Big 3 are on their own pedestal of greatness. A lot of carrots are split between this opinion. One side keeps asking why 17 isn't as popular as BTS. Not that they aren't popular already, but why aren't they on the same level of popularity or even more popular as BTS? While the other side is praying that type of popularity never happens, because of how much hate and toxicity could come along with it. And to be honest, I am too. I, for sure, do not want them or need them to be more popular than BTS. BTS certainly deserve every credit, praise, and recognition they have gotten, and will continue to get. However, when I look at the aspects that make up BTS and the elements that make up BTS, I sometimes can't help but compare how 17 have those same elements but aren't as popular. I know we've all done it, whether you would like to admit it or not. Comparing your fave idol groups to another and asking the question why. Why aren't my idol groups receiving this attention or this award? Or this group did better than this group? Or my idol sings better, dances better, and is better, so why? Whether you have said it out loud or just simply thought of it to yourself in your head, we've all gone down that road. But yes, 17 are known as synchronizing kings despite having such large numbers, and they are also known as self-producing idols. For not just their music, but for their choreography. Even the content ideas they put out, most notably their going 17 episodes, the concepts ideas in the show, actually comes from the members themselves. But of course, with the support and help of their show producers and management team to bring it to life in screen. About 90% of the work, when it comes to their music, their dance, and the content we see from them, the mastermind behind them all, is 17. If you had to differentiate between idols and artists, 17 would easily fit under the category of an artist, just like BTS. But unfortunately, in comparison to BTS, 17 do not have a lot of international support. But that is only because in comparison to Big Hit, Pledis does not really push or promote 17 outside of South Korea. Which is why they are extremely popular in South Korea and Japan, because those are the two places Pledis puts their main focus towards. International fans need to understand that just like Pledis and any other Korean K-pop company, we are secondary. We are not their main and target audience. It doesn't mean that they don't appreciate our support and whatnot, but we cannot expect the same treatment or perks they provide their Korean fanbase. What I am saying may sound harsh, but it is the honest truth. I mean, just like Western artists or other artists of their respective country don't really focus on their fanbase outside of the respective country, or outside of the ones who speak the same language as them, Korean companies aren't obligated to shift their focus, or even share their focus towards international fans. With that being said, 17 is a large group, and Westerners do tend to tune off when they see large groups. I mean, Majority of Western boy groups and girl groups throughout the years have been under 7 members, and that alone in the Western music market is quite hard to market. So just imagine seeing 13 members and trying to market that. To Westerners, 17 is the size of a sports team, and unfortunately for 17 and other Korean groups their size, they don't have the time or patience to memorize all the names of those in a sports team, much less a boy group. It's sad, but the reality is Westerners don't like going the extra mile for things, especially when it won't affect them in any shape or form. Anyways, this brings me to the end of this video. Thank you and see you next time.